What's good, peeps? What is good? How's everyone doing a couple of days before Christmas? Hopefully you're all doing it very, very well. Hopefully, unlike me, you spent a few quid on some Christmas presents. I completely failed in that department. I did get my mum something, but everyone else, unfortunately, didn't quite work out. All right, the next live stream is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. is the next live stream. We're going to look back in the year in boxing. We're going to look ahead to some of the big fights, hopefully, in 2021. We will touch on the first big fight of 2021, which is Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia. That'll be the main topic of discussion. But we are going to discuss things like knockout of the year, fight of the year, underdog sort of performance of the year, things like that. And then we'll look ahead, as I said, to fingers crossed what should be, I think, a fantastic 2021. All right, let's quickly talk about my fighter of the year. You can clearly see by the thumbnail, my fighter of the year for 2020 is Teofimo Lopez. I think because most of the top fighters only had one fight, I'm trying to think, did any top fighter fight twice? And when I say twice, I don't mean sort of fight a sort of G-level fighter, then an A-level fighter. I mean, did any top fighter have two fights against top-level opposition? I can't think of one. I'm sure there is someone, but I can't think of one off head. So when I say fighter of the year, what we're really talking about is performance of the year, because it is just a performance. I think every single elite fighter had just one fight. So you're looking at the performance of the year. And for me, my performance of the year was Teofimo Lopez for a number of reasons. We're going to touch on others that I think deserve a mention, but Teofimo was my number one by a bit of a landslide, in fact, just because of who he fought. How much a favourite Loma was going into that fight, and just because Loma is just that damn good, and he nullified everything Loma was able to do. So that's why Teofimo is my fighter of the year, just because, again, the level of opposition, right? Again, a lot of the top fighters fought very good opposition, and we're going to talk about some, but not to the level of a Lomachenko. No one did. So that's why Teofimo is my fighter of the year. It's the performance of the year as well. Again, I thought he looked outstanding the first 6 rounds. I think after that, Loma came into it. Loma's going to come into it. But then when it was all on the table, I think, anyway, because we didn't know the scorecards at the time, he delivered in the final round. So that was a mature performance. It was a standout career performance, and congratulations to him. He deserves everything he gets right now, because he rolled the dice when a lot of people were trying to protect their O's and not take on the top challengers. He rolled the dice and I think beat arguably the pound for pound number 2 on the planet, and beat him, I think, by a couple of rounds. I was going to say easy. It wasn't easy, but he beat him by a couple of rounds. So again, we're going to talk more on Teofimo, but that's why he, for me, is the fighter of the year. And it's the performance of the year because of the opposition. There were some others as well that I think deserve mentioning, whatever, anyway. I think we got to mention Canelo, right? Just because it's in our head recently, but he fought again. I wasn't too high on Callum. I've said this for a long time, so it's not just a knee-jerk reaction. I wasn't high on him, but the record books say that Callum Smith is an unbeaten 168-pound champion, and the ring had him as the number one. I'm stuttering my words through this one. Let's have a quick drink. Yeah, so the ring had him as number one, and Canelo dominated him. Some people have that fight a shutout, 120, 108. I gave Callum Smith, I think, 2 rounds, or a round and a share of a round. But regardless, however you have it, no one is giving more than Callum Smith 2 rounds. That's how dominant a performance that was. Canelo looked superb. And the only reason I'm giving it to Teo as opposed to Canelo is because of the opposition. I think Loma is just so much better than Callum Smith. So that's why I'm going to give it. And Canelo was a massive favourite. Although, in theory, he was stepping up in weight. Although he has fought at 175. In theory, still a 160 for me. He was stepping up in weight. Callum's the bigger guy, etc., etc. But I just think Loma is just that outworldly good. But still, we've got to mention Canelo. We've got to mention Errol Spence. He deserves a strong mention just because of the year we know Errol Spence has had, the car crash. Everyone's like, okay, he can come back, but he should really be in a gimme fight. He went in there against a guy that has always been in and around the top 5-6 at welterweights, right? Danny Garcia's legit. Again, Danny's only losses are to Sean and to Keith. and they are very razor thin losses. Some people haven't beaten Sean. So I think for Spence to take on that level of opposition in his comeback fight and dominate him the way he did, I mean, come on. The only reason I gave Danny a couple of rounds in that fight is when I clearly saw Spence almost take the foot off the gas. But that was an outstanding performance from Errol Spence. So he has to be in the reckoning. I mean, you can't talk fighter of the year, again, because we're talking about a singular performance here and not mention Errol Spence. You have to mention, let's go all the way back to February now of 2020, Tyson Fury. I mean, it's neck and neck between Tyson and Teofimo, and I can understand why the ring had them both on. When I saw it, I was like, oh, come on. Tyson doesn't deserve it, but he does. I think we forget what kind of went into the lead up to that fight. Just so I'll remind you as to what went in. Tyson Fury had the first fight against Deontay Wilder. It was a draw. I thought Tyson won, but it was a draw. Tyson then went and fought Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin. Looked okay with Tom Schwartz, but Tom Schwartz is Tom Schwartz. Otto Wallin didn't look great, got the cut, split with his trainer. So that's Tyson. Deontay Wilder went away from that performance, fought Dominic Breazeale, iced him, knocked out Luis Ortiz as well. Like that's what. So he's going into that fight, and everyone thinking, okay, Deontay Wilder's like fixed on this. Like he wasn't tuned in for the first one. He's tuned in. Look at Tyson Fury's performance against Otto Wallin. He's now switched trainers. It's too close to the fight. What is he doing? He's going to get knocked out. He then all of a sudden turned into this, okay, I'm going to be aggressive rather than outbox you. I'm going to put my weight on you. I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to beat you to the punch. And he dominated. He outpunched the puncher. Like he's almost like a case of, I'm not scared of your punch power. And everyone is scared of Deontay Wilder's punch power, right? We're calling it the hardest hitting heavyweight of all time. He walked straight to that fire. Straight to the fucking fire. And basically, the beating was so bad, his corner had to throw in the towel. That's how bad the beating was. So he has to be up there. It was an incredible performance from Tyson Fury. Again, he done something that we didn't expect him to do. And that's what makes it so special. It really was an outstanding performance. A lot of people talk the talk. Tyson Fury, whether you're a fan of his or not, and I don't know if you are, but you can't be a fan. You can't not be a fan, of what he did against Deontay Wilder. It was that impressive. And I only hope that we remember it, because it was such a long time ago and then COVID kicked in. You have to remember that performance. That was outstanding. And again, what I'm talking about here, and look, there's no doubt some people will have performances in the head of fighters that have done better. But again, it's who they're fighting. I think I've watched better performances. I've watched more skilled performances. I thought Chocolatito looked good. Did Chocolatito fight? It wasn't Kel Yafai this year, was it? I think it might have been, That was a very good performance. But Kel Yafai is not an elite boxer for me. I know he's a world champion at the time and he was unbeaten, but he wasn't good. But the performance was really good. If it was this year, and I think it might have been this year. Yeah, it was right at the beginning. No, wait. When was it? It was. So the Chocolatito has fought twice this year. That's interesting. Knocked out Kel Yafai, then beat Israel Gonzalez. He might have been, and now he's fighting Estrada, obviously. He might be one of the only top elite fighters that's fought twice this year. Could be wrong, but he might just be that. If he is, he's got a chance. But that performance that Chocolatito put on against Cal was superb as well. He has to be in the conversation. Another fight that I think should be in the conversation, and I don't know if his opponent was elite, but he was a world champion. There was a couple of belts on the line, and that's Charlo's win over Rosario. Solid performance. I mean, he basically stopped him with a body jab. Do you guys remember that? He looked good. Remember, he was coming off that performance against Tony Harrison. Well, I was starting to question him a little bit. I was like, okay, I know he got rid of Tony Harrison in the end, but I think that's because almost of Tony Harrison's clowning. Tony Harrison could have seen that fight off. That's what I'm thinking. But anyway, Tony Harrison was there. He got past that. Rosario, all the belts on the line. Everyone's talking about Rosario being good because of what he done in his previous fight. Dominated him. It was a convincing performance. He has to be in the conversation All right, so there are a few, Inoue, Maloney, again, so there's a couple of performances, but for me, nothing is bigger than Teofimo. Again, the step up in class. You know, I mean, yes, Richard Comey was a world champion, but Richard Comey ain't no Lomachenko. Lomachenko was a big favourite going into that fight, and we all thought Teofimo was talking the talk, could he walk the walk? And he walked the walk, people. He looked fast, he looked strong, he looked big, he's confident. I love the fact that he's back in the gym now. So for me, he is my fighter of the year. Special mention to Tyson Fury, Canelo, Errol, and Charlo. I think those would be my sort of top five. Again, you have to mention Chocolatito because he's one of the only top fighters to fight twice. I just don't know how much I rate Cal Yafai and Israel Gonzalez. Very good fighters. I just don't know how much I rate them. Some people have reached out to me and asked about Crawford's performance against Kell Brook. Yeah, good. It was good, right? I mean, the way in which he switched things up was very impressive. So you got to give credit to that. And I'm going to finally give credit to Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is going to be in there as well because that performance against Kubrat Pulev was solid. Kubrat Pulev might have won a round. I think Anthony Joshua boxed smart. And this is the new AJ now where he kind of puts everything together. So I'm going to give AJ a shout out as well. So look, some good performances. If I've missed any, please list them. But those are going to be mine. Again, I'm looking for top guys against top guys. The reason I don't put AJ right in there, and I could have because I didn't rate Kubrat that high. And so I expected AJ to do that. That's the reason I'm putting Tyson in there, Canelo in there, Errol in there, but top of the bunch has to be Teofimo. All right, let's have a quick look at some stories before we wrap. Again, just to confirm, we are doing a live tomorrow, the final live, I think, of the year. I might do one on Christmas Day, you know, because I'm not going anywhere. Final live of the year will be tomorrow, 7 p.m. Should be a fun one. Make sure you guys tune in for that. All right, Anthony Joshua has no concerns with Fury's past UCAD drama. Something that seems to be forgotten. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, there's proper VADA tested in that fight. I think there should be a fight of that magnitude. Sturm, listen to this. Felix Sturm versus Bramer in play. I didn't even know Bramer was fighting anymore. Jesus. Martin Murray has retired. Martin Murray's retired after that loss to Billy Joe Saunders. Solid career. Congratulations to him. Unfortunately, never became a world champion. What did he have? 5 goes at it. A couple of tough ones in there. Golovkin, Billy Joe Saunders. The others, a lot of people thought he should have won. Right? This guy could have been a 2-time, 3-time world champion. I know it doesn't work like that, but he could have. But good luck to Martin Murray, whatever he does. Great guy. Really good for the sport. Hopefully he stays involved. I'm sure he will. Joseph Parker's trainer expects full house for Junior Farr showdown. That's the benefit, I guess, of being in New Zealand right now, right? I mean, the crowds are back and there will be a full house, no doubt. Terence Crawford, manager, trainer. Spence is trying to find a way out with Crawford. No, he's not. If Spence was trying to find a way out, Spence would have offered him 70-30. How can someone offer 60-40, and I think that's what Spence did, and that trying to be a way out? Come on, man. Spence is a bigger draw. Spence has more belts. Spence is a bigger name in the boxing world. I hate to admit it, I'm a Crawford fan more than a Spence fan, but all those things I just said are fact. Canelo Iron mandatory versus Avni Yildirim in February. WBC president confirms. Okay, cool. I'll let him have that. No problem. I like the way he just wants to turn around so quick and fight in February. It's ridiculous. That means he'll fight again in June, July, which is a random date for Canelo. But obviously the world is random right now. February is a strange date for Canelo. He's obviously not waiting until May. Or maybe he's thinking he can get rid of Yildirim, and I think Canelo will get rid of him early. Maybe he's thinking, I'll do February and I'll turn around and fight again in May. Who knows? Who knows? Joshua, I'll make serious offer to Fury. If he doesn't take it, I'll fight Usyk. I don't even like that. I don't know if I like that statement. I don't like fighters making offers to fighters. It's a bit weird. Like, you're both at a high level. Like, it should be, I don't know. I know AJ's his own management company, 258, but it should just be a case of my management company will talk to his management company. Frank will talk to, well, Frank probably won't get involved in it, but Eddie will talk to Bob Arum, and then we'll get it done somehow, right? I mean, I think the fighters should stay out of it. When fighters say they offer fighters other things, I just don't like it. What else have we got here before we wrap? Crawford on Spence Purse's demands. Maybe that wreck knocked a couple of screws loose. Again, I love Crawford. I just don't. No, I'll leave it. Won't say what I'm going to say. WBC to review Canelo's franchise champion status at 160. Can we just scrap this, please, and just remove him from it and just let Charlo have the fucking belt? For sake, man. Joshua, I have 4 major belts. Fury has 1. Well, that's not quite right, AJ. In my head, sorry, AJ, big fan of yours. You know this, brother. I will say you have 3 major belts. I will say Fury has 2. I do count the ring as a bit of a special belt as far as I'm concerned. You can't count the IBO as a major belt, Joshua, and you know you can't. I don't even think they don't even mention it. Like when Joshua fights, I always do, and I get ridiculed for it. When they say Joshua the free belt holder, no one even mentions the IBO. So let's get rid of that one. Yeah, let's get rid of that completely. This is a good fight that's been announced. Florian Marcoux versus Mr. Ryan Charlton. That's a very, very good fight. That's on the Venetian Kelly card. I'm holding my breath for the Kelly fight because how many times have that fight been done? Yeah. All right, let's quickly wrap up on this one. I am very, very disappointed. I think I might have spoken about this before. Have I spoken about this? I might have done on the live stream about Lomachenko. You know, I'm a massive Vasyl Lomachenko fan, huge. What he's been saying after his defeat is bordering on embarrassing. It's embarrassing for him. It's embarrassing for me as a fan of his. It's embarrassing for all of his fans. It's very much the Wilder conversation. It really is. I'm embarrassed for him. Oh, about the judges this and the judges might have been bribed and this and that. You lost. You lost. You lost the first maybe 6 rounds and you didn't win the last 6. It's that simple. If you did, it would have been a draw. So, look, very disappointed about Loma's tactics. I mean, Lopez was saying some scandalous things about him before. Maybe Lopez was right. Maybe Lopez was right. Maybe he's not a great person because this he has an ego and an attitude that I no longer like. And if Lopez was to fight him again, I would be in favor and would be in the Lopez camp. I don't like when fighters lose and start chatting shit. You lost. That simple, you lost. You were talking a big game before. All of a sudden, it's my shoulder, which might be true. It's the judges. It's this, it's that. Come on. You're better than that, brother. Peace and love, people. Tomorrow, 7 p.m.